Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Silent Hill 2 commentary. We got two beefy parts to end the playthrough on, so off we go to get our final little figurine for the music box, so we can go back to where Mary supposedly is waiting for us. So off we go to the employee lounge, where the game's going to unfortunately make us put all of our stuff away because the elevator is weight limited for some reason.
How? Well, hold on. That implies that James is carrying a significant amount of weight on him. I can't imagine that the difference between the 1 pound lead pipe and the not 1 pound lead pipe is gonna matter much.
It's a game mechanic. I don't like this game mechanic. Because it's like, oh, we're going to artificially increase the tension by making sure you don't have anything. And it's like, okay, that's just kind of a cheap way to do it. I'm skipping the puzzle here, so we got to move on.
I'm just amused as fuck by the notion that they have a weight limit of one person on the elevator and it can tell the difference somehow. Like, what happens if Eddie gets on that elevator?
Yeah, because, Eddie probably is a good 50 pounds heavier than James, so the elevator probably doesn't even work if he gets on.
But with the weight.
Oh, it just left you alone. Oh, no, never mind.
Would the weight of Eddie be significantly different than, say, James and Laura?
Hard to say.
Probably. So, a kid that age, I mean, Laura was also sick, so she's
8.
Yeah, but she was also sick in the hospital, so she's probably lighter than the average girl of her weight. So, I would say she's probably maybe 60, 70 pounds tops. Depending on how obese you view Eddie as, I would say that it's not that much more heavy than both of them together. Is probably not that much heavier than Eddie is, I would imagine. The 5 pounds between James with his guns and pipe and James not with his guns and pipe certainly shouldn't make that big of a difference.
It's just James felt the need to put all of his weapons in storage when I'm pretty sure he could have at least brought his handgun and been fine.
I still wouldn't want to fight these things with just the handgun, but yeah.
Or you could have just taken the stairs.
He also puts the photo away. Why did he put the photo away?
The extra 46 grams of weight the photo provides. Oh, but you'll be able to take the pump valve back upstairs, no problem.
Oh, no, you don't take the pump valve with you. This is sort of a mini dungeon within the dungeon.
Did you not even get to take your flashlight with you?
Nope.
Oh, well, that thing's probably running on C batteries, so I guess that makes sense. I mean, I do get the idea of taking away your weapons to make you feel powerless. That's a classic horror game trope. That's a classic video game trope. There are games in every genre where they take away your weapons or, remove some fundamental ability to make you feel less powerful or to just provide a novel gameplay experience. I think it doesn't work so much in Silent Hill specifically because it's not like the combat is ever super involved in this game. It's mostly just pointing or whacking stuff. So you're only limited to one option, which is running away. Which at this point in the game probably doesn't make it scarier, or probably just feels more annoying.
Well, I mean, they're also throwing an enemy at you that can't fight even if you do have your weapons,
Well, Brian was able to fight it upstairs. Although I guess it can attack you from it can attack you from a different room, so you can't really hurt it, even with the melee weapons at least.
Well, what I mean is he didn't defeat the enemy in that case, did he?
I thought he did.
I killed it. I killed it next to the fireplace in the conference room.
Oh, okay.
Turning a valve, turning a valve. Put your back into it, James.
Maybe one of these will get Portal 3 made.
Huh.
Eerie photo, which is just there for collection's sake.
Oh, okay. So this is supposed to look like the bar from the beginning of the game, like with the jukebox there specifically.
I mean, it's obviously reused assets, so.
I mean, yeah, but also the Disney movies specifically for the figurines is also a pretty interesting choice. I guess it makes that also.
Well,
makes
it's more
sense.
their fables than Disney movies, but yes.
I mean, yeah, I suppose.
I mean,
I guess
Disney's whole thing when it did all of its famous animated movies was adapting fairy tales and stuff.
it's just in the world we live in today, we now associate these specific stories with their Disney renditions kind of as the default versions of them. Like, there's very few people who would think of The Little Mermaid and think of a version other than the one from the 90s with the red-haired Ariel.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong, but I think you're also giving people too little credit. It's not like people don't know that they're fairy tales. They just never read the fairy tales. But like, it's like you'll have a hard time finding anyone who's actually read the Arabian Nights, you know?
So actually, this is a fun fact. I can't find a good version of the Arabian Nights to read. Most of the versions that you can find, like, because it's a public domain book, right? The book's centuries old. You think that you'd be able to find a decent version someplace online or like on Amazon Unlimited or whatever, you know. But like the most well circulated translations are from like the 1800s and are both extremely archaic and also very racist. So it's difficult to find. It's difficult to find a version of the thing that's both well translated and easily available.
So, like recently with the Trails in the Sky demo, I've noticed a trend vaguely related to this. Everyone is like, Shahrazad? Oh, you mean Charizard? No.
Wait, really?
It's
Oh my god.
Shahrazad. You know, the woman from Arabian Nights who tells all the stories.
So I don't know much about the way the Arabian Nights are written. I do, however, know about Shahrazad from the Magic the Gathering card.
Where that makes you play another game of Magic the Gathering within your game of Magic the Gathering, and whoever wins the sub-game of Magic the Gathering gets to keep all of the life, and the other one loses half their life.
Which, I mean, in context, when you realize that that's the whole story of the Arabian Nights, is this woman stalling for time so she doesn't die. Like, excellent, on-point depiction, but also, I love playing another game in the middle of my game that doesn't mean anything because next turn my opponent's going to combo kill me with no regard to my life total.
It does actually mean something because, like, all the cards that you use in the sub-game end up being removed from the game. So, you could, like, depending on how long that sub-game goes, you could wind up burning out your opponent's deck or burning out your own deck.
All right, so fun fact, the observation door we just passed right there, the dog is in there.
So this is where you can get the dog ending?
Yes.
Yay! Can you get the dog ending on your first run, or does it have to be in?
No, it's New Game Plus. It's New Game Plus only.
Oh.
So
is the dog still there on the first playthrough?
I mean, you can't open the door, so.
Okay, so this is a tape that James and Mary accidentally left behind during their vacation in Silent Hill. They went to the trouble of taking a good old-fashioned VHS recorded home video, and they forgot it when they left. Figures, right? You don't see these kind of home videos in the modern day anymore, do you?
No, 'cause everything's
Not in
recorded
this
on your
style,
phone, so.
because everybody's recording everything on their phone. Yeah.
Well, I mean, recording everything on your phone is part of the reason, though, because you have absolute control of what you record and when, and it's all in separate video files. But when you took home video back in the day, it was all on one tape, right? So you just got a mishmash of whatever it was you happened to record all on one tape. And if you wound it back to record over something, you might get fragments of old stuff mixed in with the new stuff because people aren't really precise about that kind of thing.
It also, people acted different when they were being recorded like this as well. Because again, people didn't just have cameras in their phone all the time. So, like, it was weirder to be videotaped. Like, so that's why people often act like a little bit more uncomfortable in these old home movies.
There's also the fact that the camera's fucking huge, so it's like not it's something that you can't really not think about while it's recording, you know?
Hi, Pyramid
Yeah,
Head.
No, that's James.
Oh, that's James. Okay.
Yeah, so the truth comes out. James suffocated his wife a few days ago.
Okay, so what happened was Mary came home from the hospital. She's still sick, so she was bedridden, but she was sent home. And James smothered her with a pillow. It's not pleasant. But
No.
the trauma of having done this, combined with the magical lure of Silent Hill, caused him to sort of disassociate and reconstruct a sort of fake memory version where Mary just died 3 years ago, and he got a letter saying that he should go to Silent Hill. Yeah, because she's waiting there.
Do you know where Mary is?
So he cracked.
Come on. Talk to me.
I didn't really get the impression that, like, are we supposed to be seeing James smothering Mary through Mary's eyes in that video? Like,
No, it's just a third-person construction of the town showing him what he did.
Yeah, it's his memories being played back for him, really. But it's from her point of view in several of it, because that's the most horrifying point of view in that situation. Not his, hers. And he knows that, which is part of why it traumatized him, you know? He did something horrible, he knows it was horrible, and he killed someone he cares about. He's a jumbled mess of mess, basically. He was then, and he's even more so now.
How did you do it?
Yeah, it's interesting to watch people's reactions to this, finding out
Back to me.
that James killed his wife, because I've watched a lot of streamers play this when
I knew it.
the game came out, because, you know, it's a 20-year-old game, and it was not hard to get copies of Silent Hill 2, but a lot of people just kind of jumped into the remake. So a lot of different reactions to it. Just to go into it, not to get too personal, I have had multiple family members kind of be sick in
Why?
that kind of situation. And you kind of do want it to just end so you can start to heal. So I understand what James did. I don't condone it, of course. Not by any stretch of the imagination, but I understand.
well, it's also interesting, if she went home, that implies she's getting better. Like, if she's out of the
No,
hospital.
no, that was the hospital sending her home because there was nothing more they could do for her.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The okay, before we move on with that topic, I just want to like question the animation choices in that last cutscene. Why is Lara so like showing no facial reaction to this shit, even though she's supposed to be like horrified and angry? That's so weird.
The voice acting, I also wasn't a huge fan of.
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah,
It-
it's my least favorite scene in the game with Laura anyway.
I think Lara might in general be like the weakest thing to have been readapted in this remake, to be honest.
I liked her fine through most of it, is the thing. Like, you know, she seemed on point. It's just that specific scene there just did not click for me at all.
Well, it's like You remember how I said, like, a fair number of places the original had more expressive facial animation? Lara is one of the characters who kind of needs that because she's a child, so her facial expressions should be like a bit exaggerated because kids are like that.
So we just faded into the nightmare world.
Actually,
Yeah.
this is the real world. The nice one was the nightmare world because the place we find out that this place burned down after James left.
Oh, interesting.
Man, Silent Hill has had problems with fires.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool. That the real world version is actually like the
dilapidated version.
Yeah. But I guess that makes sense, because if the Nightmare World is supposed to be like James's illusion, like he's remembering this place as like this is what he thinks it's supposed to be like versus this is the reality of what happened.
Also, the hotel represents the happy memories he had with his wife, you know? The things that died 3 years ago in his mind. There is no healing of thy bruise, thy wound is grievous. Yeah, that's an accurate, if melodramatic, summary of this kind of depression.
It might be a biblical quote. I don't know my scripture that much. Or maybe they just really like episode 3. I don't know. General Sunderland.
You know, this is off topic, but like one of the funny things about General Grievous is that when he was first conceptualized, the early version of his character got to make a debut at the end of that animated Clone Wars thing.
He was so much cooler in that than he was in the movie.
Yeah, but then George Lucas decided he needed to be a mirror of Darth Vader and decided to give him like a raspy, coughing lung injury.
But I don't get why he needs to be a mirror for Vader,
because George Lucas gets way too into his history rhymes concept.
I mean, I guess, but like narratively speaking, first off, Anakin, like if you're gonna do that kind of thing, you would have Anakin be the one to confront Grievous, not Obi-Wan.
The idea is more that the Emperor had a mechanical monstrosity who's not in good health and is therefore, you know, vulnerable in that way. But they didn't. But the thing is, General Grievous's story in Revenge of the Sith had nothing to do at all with that. It was just a detail about his character.
Yeah, because he doesn't really have story. He's just a boss monster for them to fight for the Separatists before, you know, the Order 66 happens, you know.
But, you know, it was a fun detail, I suppose, but, like, in order to solve the discrepancy between the way General Grievous first appeared in the animation and how he appears in the movie, they just had Mace Windu force crush the life out of him at the very last second.
Which is also a little weird, because that's, like, a pretty dark side kind of move.
Well, Mace Windu would be the kind of Jedi to do that in terms of his character, but you know.
Yeah, but like the Force choke, the Force crush is usually depicted as a very dark side kind. I don't really know why. You know, like using the Force to push stuff is pretty Force neutral, I guess.
Because in the original movies, Obi-Wan said you never use the Force to attack, only to defend. Or maybe it was Yoda. I think it was Yoda.
You know, and then flashback to the prequels where Yoda's throwing shit at everybody with the Force. But okay. Well, actually, no. I guess Yoda's deflecting shit with the Force. Fine,
Yoda stuck to his philosophy regarding that. It's the other Jedi who got pretty aggressive with the Force, to be fair.
I don't know, man. If I had the Force, I'd mostly just be like grabbing shit from across the room I'm too lazy to pick up.
Although, to be fair, the Jedi were really only portrayed as doing that once they were into the war. And Yoda, by that point in his life, might have seen that as a mistake. Or, you know, the Jedi's philosophy collapsing in on itself under the strain of war or something like that. But I didn't mean the Star Wars tangent to go on quite this long, so let's get back to Silent Hill. What were we talking about before I derailed things?
Oh no, the hotel's on fire.
Laura. We were talking about Laura. Laura
No,
as a kid.
James, you never take the elevator during a fire emergency. The hell's wrong with you?
I think the real issue is not fire emergency, but this building has been fucking destroyed, so there's no guarantee that the elevator is safe to use.
That's the reason why you don't use an elevator in a fire emergency.
Yes,
Like-
but in an abandoned building, fire or no, there's no guarantee that the mechanism of the elevator would not have been damaged or corroded or whatever. There's a chance that even if it appears to work in the first place, something is rusted to a breaking point, or maybe a piece of debris has fallen into the elevator shaft and disrupted the mechanism. So you do not want to use an elevator in an abandoned building. Don't do it.
And they haven't done their inspection in 5 years. I wonder why that's not happened.
I like the flooded basement, though. I mean, it is a hotel next to a goddamn lake.
And if there's like enough rain, and this will happen too.
Yeah.
So like, I'm a little confused about what Laura's purpose in the story is supposed to be. Like, obviously it's a connection to Mary. So there's that.
So in the most positive ending, where James decides to go on living, he leaves with Laura, the implication being that he's going to try and take care of this girl who was his wife's friend. Laura leaves voluntarily with him, which is a little bit weird, considering she knows that he fucking murdered his wife, but...
Yeah, that's a little odd. Like, I mean, I guess if she just wants to leave the town, she could do it with him, but I don't see why she would have any reason to trust him.
I don't know. I don't necessarily know if James would take care of Laura or just make sure she gets out of town safely.
We don't know anything that happens to James after he leaves the town, so...
Yeah. I mean, it's a horror game, so of course the ending is vague as hell.
Yeah. Also, hi, Angela.
Mama,
Anyway, at this
I'm looking
point...
for you. You're the only one left. Maybe then I can finally rest. Mama.
So the idea that Angela is looking at James and seeing her mother is actually one that's revisited in Silent Hill Downpour.
Wait.
Because there's a figure in that game that wears a mask, and sometimes the characters see each other as that character.
It's
Is Angela supposed to be a parallel for Mary, too? Or...
No, she's
No,
not.
she's supposed to represent the extreme innocent side of killing someone.
Yeah. She's childlike, she's traumatized, she swings in her moods pretty heavily from one scene to another. And apparently her version of Silent Hill is on fire a lot, because when James asks about this room, Angela just says it's always like this. So...
But I wish you hadn't. Even Mama said
So
it.
this is the last we see of Angela, and we don't necessarily know what happens to her after this. Given the way Eddie's story ended and the way James's story can potentially end, there is a strong likelihood that Angela either kills herself or dies to the horrors of Silent Hill. But, I don't know. Maybe she had her own epiphany after this scene and left town with her mind intact to some extent. What I'm curious about, though, Silent Hill draws people in, but how did it draw these other two people in? Do they have some connection to Silent Hill as well? Did they live here at one point, maybe? Were they, I don't know, in a neighboring town?
I think with Angela, it was implied her mother lived here at some point.
James.
Yeah.
Because she talks a lot about finding her mother, so, like, she might have gotten a letter or just some sort of call to come here looking for her the way James thinks Mary is here.
No, I won't.
So,
Saving it for yourself.
saving it for yourself. Not even being subtle anymore.
Have it your way. change anything.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you're right next to a lake. It would be relatively easy without a knife. A little bit more painful, probably. Drowning is not pleasant.
Lots of Dutch angles.
I think this scene
Hot as hell in here.
of her climbing the stairs, the flaming stairs, is like a reference to a movie. I don't necessarily know which movie. It's been a long time since I've watched any Silent Hill 2 think pieces that have brought this up.
Always like this.
But yeah. I will say that in the original game, you would be watching Angela climb up the stairs in gameplay, and some people prefer that.
I could go either way, honestly.
Well, the thing about it is that because you're in control of James, you get to decide when he leaves the room, right? So when you leave that room, when you decide to leave Angela to her fate, is up to how you, the player, feel about the situation. There's a pretty high chance that you're going to feel uncomfortable and you're going to hover there, but you can't pursue her because the fire is in the way. If you try, James has to reel back because it's fucking fire, you know? You're not just going to walk through it.
I find it interesting that he just lets her go. He doesn't even try to talk
Well,
her
yeah,
out of it anymore.
That's part of what makes this scene, as a cutscene that ends so quickly, feel, I don't know, it loses its punch, because the agency of doing that is taken away. James doesn't just let Angela go in the original game. You, the player, have to decide when to let go and turn around and leave the room and let go of Angela, because you don't have the option of holding on to her. The whole situation is way too hot for James to handle, and not in the sexy way. But, like, as the player, you are the one who is trying to grasp that hot object and being repeatedly forced to let go of it. And you, as the player, have to decide to stop trying. It's the only option you have, but you stop trying. Was James looking away?
Yes, he was. That's a tiny detail after that Angela scene. He starts looking away from the save point.
That's actually pretty cool. Yeah. Nice touch. I don't think you would have had that detail in the original because the save points are just a still frame of his face all the time.
Yeah.
But that's neat. Yeah.
We'll see you guys in the finale of Silent Hill 2 in the next part. So see you guys all then. Later.